Other interesting business news, you have Meta to team up with Lenovo and Xbox to combat the Apple Vision Pro. Now, this is specifically in regard to the operating system or the OS for these heads-up display, or no, that's a car, for these wearable nerd goggles. I mean, very smart, really cool. Oculus Pro and Apple Vision Pro. They're cool. Definitely needed. You definitely need one of these $4,000 things on your head. Well, that's the Apple one. Now, comes to us thanks to, where is this over here, on LinkedIn News. They know that specifically Meta announced will make the operating system that powers its Quest headsets, which has been renamed Horizon OS, available to other competing hardware companies. Asus, Lenovo, and Xbox are already in development for hardware for Meta ecosystem. So it's basically going to be the old OS battles that we've had since Apple came out. And that's pretty important to allow these third parties, because again, this will really allow it to actually break into a bigger market share. I mean, we saw this with Apple versus Google. Apple has their own OS. That's what makes them special. They also have beautifully designed, engineered hardware and software. But the real way that a competitor is able to rise to the ashes, so to say, to compete with Apple is because Google basically perfected the Android platform, and they allow pretty much everyone to put an app on there, and pretty much every tech company that has money, they can make a phone using that OS, with Samsung being perhaps the most predominantly famous one, followed subsequently by the Google Pixel line. And Motorola is technically still around for that product category, so if you want, you can get a Motorola device. Again, it's going to be powered by Android. But that will allow these other companies to actually start to standardize them, and then they don't have to take on that huge cost as well. So granted, it's usually a licensing agreement deal, but that's much less versus the cost of actually developing something ground up. And consumers appreciate simplicity, so I suspect this will help them out. It'll actually give them a competing shot with Apple, which obviously they need. Now, they note that, let's see, Meta has invested, it's $4.65 billion. They had a $4.65 billion loss in the fourth quarter of 2023 in regards to the product category. So perhaps it's going to be it'll be interesting to see what's the long-term ramifications, or when does it finally actually start to make a profit. But it is interesting. This is definitely going to help the competition rise up against Apple Vision Pro to Banana Falcon, whatever they call the fanciest trim line for the little headset nerd goggles. But this will help unify the category that's against them, give them a standard OS. That way, those companies don't have to take on that cost. There's going to be a lot more interest for them. But let me know, have you gone into the trend of getting these goggles, and do you see them as a way to possibly enable work or your life? Or is it really, do you see the advantage? Certainly I see some business applications for manufacturing and engineering. I understand the use cases, but do you know anyone individually who has it for more than just a toy? Which is kind of cliche. You could say that about certain technologies that turned out to be revolutionary. At one time, some were considered just a toy. But let me know. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that like button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, leave me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.